Hi everyone, I'm Christine from the Hollowbrook Branch, and I'd like to welcome you to another What's Cooking video. Now usually in these videos I will make a recipe that I know very well, something I've made many times, and I know I like it and I want to share it with you. But recently in one of her videos, Anna from our Hollowbrook Branch decided to challenge herself a little bit, and she tried a recipe she had never made before. She made a breakfast pie. The video is on our YouTube channel if you'd like to check it out. And so I thought I would steal her idea and try to challenge myself a little bit. And so today I'm going to be trying a brand new recipe in this video. My recipe comes from this cookbook. It's the Better Homes and Gardens new cookbook, a classic cookbook, and it's available to check out from the Mercer County Library System. And I'm going to be making scones. I love scones, but I've never made them from scratch before. So we are using the recipe from this book, and we are going to give it a try for the first time today. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start with our ingredients list. Now this cookbook gives you the recipe for plain scones and then gives you a number of options for add-ins to make different flavors. So let's start with the ingredients you need to make the basic scone. Here we have 2½ cups of all-purpose flour. We have 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. This is a half a cup of butter, so 1 stick of butter, and they want you to cut that up. 1 egg, lightly beaten. 1/3 of a cup of heavy cream, and 1/3 of a cup of sour cream, and then some coarse sugar, which you're gonna, I think, sprinkle on the top. So then they give you a number of options for different flavors you can make, and we're gonna try the strawberry basil scones, which also require 3/4 of a cup of chopped strawberries, 1 to 2 tablespoons chopped fresh basil, and 1 teaspoon of cracked black pepper. All right, our first step is to preheat the oven to 400 degrees and to line a baking sheet with some parchment paper, which I have done. And then what we're going to do next is start by mixing together our dry ingredients. So I have our flour, sugar, salt, and baking powder. I'm just going to mix those up. Now, if you're making the plain scones, you would skip this step and go straight to the butter. But since we are making the strawberry basil scones, we are going to now, at this point, add our strawberries, basil, and cracked black pepper. And I'm just going to mix those in a little bit. Next, we are going to cut our butter into our flour mixture. Make sure I get it all out of there. And to do that, I'm gonna use this pastry blender. And I just bought this at the store. I've actually never used one of these before. But basically, I think we just go like this until the butter is mixed in so that it's sort of a coarse texture. If you don't have a pastry blender, I believe you can just use a fork to do the same thing, or use 2 knives and kind of crisscross like that. Whatever cuts the butter in. Coarse crumbs is what we're going for. And it doesn't matter too much what size you cut the butter to, but it does say in the cookbook, a little tip, that if your butter is colder, you want to make the pieces smaller because it's easier to blend in that way. Okay, our butter is cut in, and after doing that, it smells so good. You can really smell the strawberry and basil in there. And our next step is going to be to mix together our heavy cream, egg, and sour cream in a separate bowl. All right, I'm just going to mix those together a little bit. Then what you want to do is make a well in the center of your flour mixture. pour your egg mixture in there. All right. Next, we are going to mix it together with a fork until everything is just moistened. All the flour on the edges over here. All right, I think that's pretty good. Now, I don't know if you can tell because I have white countertops here, but I have washed and lightly floured my surface here, and I am going to dump out the dough. It's a little crumbly. Dump out the dough onto our surface, and then we're going to knead it. It says to knead it by folding and pressing, and you want to do that about 10 to 12 times until it's fairly smooth. Okay, now that our dough is fully kneaded, we're going to make it into 2 balls, and you want to sort of flatten each of them out. And then cut them into 6 wedges each. Use a sharp knife or a pizza cutter. Now I've moved my wedges onto my baking sheet covered in parchment. I did flatten them out a little when I moved them over. It just seemed like a better shape for them. And you want them kind of evenly spaced. And then our last step is to just brush on a little bit of extra buttermilk to each one. I really don't have the best brush for this, but it will do. I don't think you want to put a lot on. I really think just a thin layer. This is what's going to hold the sugar on. Next, we are going to just sprinkle on a little bit of that coarse sugar. All right, and now these are ready to go in the oven for 12 to 14 minutes. Okay, our scones are done. They're ready. Here are our strawberry basil scones. And since I had the ingredients out, I decided behind the scenes to make another batch, so I made 1 batch of plain scones. I've tried them both, and I really do like both of them, and my kids and my husband like them as well. So I think that I will do this recipe again. I did learn a few things while I was doing it. This batch, I think the strawberries add a lot of moisture to the dough. The dough for the plain ones was a lot drier, so while I was kneading it, it was crumbling a lot. I found I had to wet my hands to keep the dough together. I also think that the basil flavor in the strawberry basil ones is a little strong for my liking. The recipe calls for 1 to 2 tablespoons of chopped basil. I probably put closer to 2 in, and next time I think I'll do closer to 1 so that the basil flavor doesn't overpower the strawberry flavor. But I do really like them both. There's one version in the cookbook that's a lemon regat. I think I might try that one next. But I hope that you will try this recipe at home and that you enjoy it, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.